Only a few firearms are known by their sound alone. The staccato rhythm of the Chicago typewriter, the Tommy gun, is a sound that defined an era of American violence. From the back alleys of Prohibition to the battlefields of the Second World War, it was the weapon of choice for both the gangster and the G-man, a symbol of lawlessness that became an instrument of liberation, a commercial failure that became a military legend. The Thompson Submachine Gun is not just a firearm. It is a weapon with a dual identity, a mechanical paradox that represents two opposing sides of the American story. But how did the weapon designed for the trenches of World War I become the symbol of both the American gangster and the American GI? The genesis of the Thompson Submachine Gun lies in the bloody stalemate of the First World War. Its creator was not a rogue inventor, but a high-ranking officer in the U.S. Army Ordnance Department, General John T. Thompson. Thompson had witnessed the horrific carnage of trench warfare and believed a new type of weapon was needed to break the deadlock. He envisioned a trench broom, a portable, handheld machine gun that could sweep a trench with overwhelming firepower. His motivation was purely military. He founded the Auto Ordnance Corporation in 1916 to develop this concept. The core of his design would be a revolutionary mechanism patented by John Blish, a friction-delayed blowback system that used a sliding metal wedge to handle the pressure of a powerful pistol cartridge. Thompson's team chose the 45 ACP, the same round used in the M1911 pistol for its proven stopping power. The first prototypes were ready in 1918. Thompson had created his trench broom, a weapon he believed would change the course of the war. But he was too late. The armistice was signed in November of 1918, before a single prototype could be shipped to Europe. The war that Thompson was designed for was over, and the company was left with a brilliant weapon that had no military market. The engineering philosophy of the original Thompson was that of a bygone era. It was a weapon built like a fine watch with no expenses spared. Its 1921 model was an exercise in high-quality commercial manufacturing. Its receivers were milled from solid blocks of forged steel. Its finned barrel was precisely machined to dissipate heat. Its furniture, the pistol grip, and vertical foregrip were carved from fine American walnut. Its mechanical heart was a complex Blish lock system. This was a friction-delayed blowback action that used a small H-shaped bronze wedge to momentarily lock the bolt to the receiver upon firing. This intricate mechanism was designed to handle the powerful 45 ACP cartridge, a 230-grain bullet traveling at over 900 feet per second, while keeping the weapon's rate of fire at a controllable 800 rounds per minute. The weapon was chambered for the 45 automatic Colt pistol cartridge, a round that was already in the US military supply chain. The full-size pistol round was chosen specifically for its terminal ballistics, a direct lesson from the Philippine-American War where the Army had learned the value of a heavy, large-caliber projectile. The Thompson was fed from either a 20-round stick magazine or, more famously, a 50 or 100-round drum magazine. It was heavy at nearly 11 pounds and incredibly expensive to produce. The original retail price in 1921 was $200, the equivalent of over $3,000 today. This approach represented a world of difference from the simple, cheap bolt-action rifles that were the standard of the day. The Thompson was a weapon of overwhelming power, but its cost and complexity made it an impossible choice for any peacetime military. The Thompson's first ascent to fame was not one of military glory, but of commercial failure and criminal adoption. Throughout the 1920s, the Auto Ordnance Corporation struggled to find a market. The weapon was sold in small numbers to the US Postal Service and the Marine Corps for use in the Banana Wars, but its primary customers were private citizens. The critical moment came with the passage of the 18th Amendment and the start of the Prohibition. The lucrative and now illegal alcohol trade created a new class of violent organized crime syndicates. These gangsters had the money to afford the expensive Thompson and a desperate need for firepower to control their territories. The Chicago typewriter, with its high rate of fire and intimidating appearance, became the ultimate tool of their trade. It was used by infamous figures like Al Capone and John Dillinger, becoming a symbol of the roaring, violent 20s. The pistol's reputation was sealed in blood on February 14, 1929. In a Chicago garage, men associated with Al Capone's gang, disguised as police officers, executed 7 members of a rival gang using shotguns and at least 2 Thompson Submachine Guns. The event, known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, shocked the nation and forever linked the Thompson to the brutal reality of gang warfare. The Thompson was a weapon so advanced for its time, its only true rival was its own complexity and cost. However, when war finally came, its direct competitor would be a new generation of submachine guns built on simplicity. The most direct American rival was the M3 Grease gun. The M3 was a weapon of pure wartime expediency, designed in 1942 to be manufactured as quickly and cheaply as possible. Where the Thompson was a product of fine machining milled from solid steel with walnut furniture, the M3 was a tube of stamped sheet metal welded together with a collapsible wire stock. This created a stark contrast in manufacturing. The M1928 Thompson cost the US government over $200 per unit at the start of the war. The M3 Grease gun cost around $20. The Thompson was a complex machine of over 80 parts. The M3 was a simple blowback weapon with fewer than 50. One side represented the old world of craftsmanship, quality, and high cost. The other embraced the new world of mass production, disposability, and ruthless efficiency. In the brutal calculus of a global war, the cheaper, faster, and simpler design was destined to win. The Thompson story is one of 2 opposing myths. The first is the myth of the gangster. In the 1930s, Hollywood immortalized the Thompson as the signature weapon of the movie Mobster. Its image, often paired with a pinstripe suit and a fedora, became a cinematic shorthand for organized crime. Actors like James Cagney turned the Tommy gun into a cultural icon. But as the gangster's firepower grew, law enforcement was forced to adapt. The FBI, under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, and police departments across the country began to purchase Thompsons of their own. This created a remarkable paradox. The same weapon was being used by both the outlaws and the lawmen who haunted them. Its reputation was perfectly summarized by one historian. The Thompson was the great equalizer in America's war on crime. It armed the forces of chaos, and then it armed the forces of order. The rifle itself was a neutral object, but its meaning was defined by the man holding it. The Thompson's dark side is its widespread use by criminals who had a direct and lasting consequence on American law. The public outcry following the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the rise of Depression-era bank robbers like John Dillinger led to a federal crackdown on certain classes of firearms. The result was the National Firearms Act of 1934. The NFA was the first major piece of federal gun control legislation in US history. It did not ban machine guns, but it sought to regulate them out of civilian hands through a prohibitive tax. The law required the registration of all fully automatic firearms and imposed a $200 tax on any transfer, a sum equivalent to thousands of dollars today. The controversy was one of government power. For the first time, the federal government was using its taxation authority to severely restrict a class of weapons. While the law was aimed at criminals, it effectively ended the public sale of the Thompson and other machine guns, forever changing the landscape of firearm ownership in America. The Thompson became a weapon that was not just a tool of crime, but the direct catalyst for the laws designed to stop it. Its second life and its ultimate redemption came with the outbreak of World War II. In 1940, with Great Britain standing alone against Nazi Germany, Winston Churchill made a desperate plea for American weapons. The US government sold hundreds of thousands of M1928 Thompsons to the British, who used them to arm their commandos and home guard. When the United States entered the war, the Thompson was officially adopted as its standard submachine gun. But the original design was too slow and expensive to produce for a global war. This forced a crucial evolution. The US military developed the A1 and later the M1A1 Thompson. These wartime models were dramatically simplified. The complex and expensive bushlock was eliminated in favor of a simple blowback action. The charging handle was moved from the top to the side of the receiver. The fin barrel and cuts compensator were removed. And most importantly, the weapon was redesigned to no longer accept the unreliable drum magazines, using only 20 and 30 round stick magazines. These changes cut the production cost by more than half and made the weapon much faster to manufacture. From the Rangers scaling the cliffs of Point Duhok to the Marines fighting island to island in the Pacific, the simplified M1A1 Thompson became a beloved and effective tool of the American GI. The Thompson is no longer just the gangster gun. It became a service weapon, a tangible link to a pivotal moment in world history. Some weapons are defined by a single war. The Thompson was defined by two opposing worlds. What began as a masterpiece of commercial engineering became the unmistakable sound of the criminal underworld, and later, the trusted companion of the Allied soldier. To one generation, it symbolizes a lawless age, the rise of organized crime, and the violent birth of modern law enforcement. To the next, it represents resistance and sacrifice, carried by commandos, rangers, and marines in a war that would decide the fate of the world. These legacies are not contradictions, they are chapters of the same story. That is the Thompson's unique power, its ability to embody both America's internal struggles and its greatest external triumphs. Its era has passed, its role complete, but its image still remains. The Thompson is no longer just a weapon of history. It is a permanent fixture of the 20th century. It's a gun of two legends, forever etched into the American imagination.